Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me for today's lecture. I am so excited about today's lecture because this piece of history, we may hear it in passing and you may hear of it, but I'm going to teach today about the Moors. And they come with a lot of mystique, a lot of mystery about them. And a lot of times you'll hear black people say, you don't know where you come from. You don't even know we were the originators of this or that. And that's why I love Royal Black and Elite because we teach people about who we really are, where we really came from, and the fact that we were not only slaves or not only servants, but also leaders. And I say we because I can't do this without you. I so greatly appreciate your support. I love my Royalers, all of the comments. Thank you to my members. I just can't thank you enough. And if this is the first time you joined us, welcome. We're just, people here who are intellects, who are history buffs, who love to learn about the other side of Black history, the royal side. So thank you for joining me. I'm Lady TrenettWilson. And don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget also to leave me a comment. I try to respond. I teach etiquette, so I'm very busy with those classes, and I cannot wait. I have a big announcement about that coming soon. So I'm excited about everything that we're doing here on our channel. And again, I can't thank you enough. So listen, the term Moor was originally used by the Christians to describe the Muslim population who lived in the Iberian Peninsula, who were a mix. They were a mix between the North Africans, which were called Berbers, and Arabs. Now, later on, you'll see the Spanish influence within the Moors as well. Now, the Moors came on the scene after the fall of the Roman Empire around 470 AD. So, from the Middle Ages to the 17th century, Europeans described the Moors as they were black. They said they were swarthy and tawny in skin tone. So, I was saying that they were a mix between the Arabs and the Africans. But the Africans were the predominant Moors. They were Muslim. So that's what really brought the Moors together. Now, when they began to conquer Portugal, it was under one of the greatest Moorish leaders of all time. His name was Tariq bin Zayed. Tariq was the Moorish leader who defeated the Visigoths at a place called the Rock of Gibraltar. Have you all heard of the Rock of Gibraltar? I've heard of it many times. Didn't know the Moors, Africans, were involved with defeating the Visigoths there. So just a wonderful, great history. And they also became the leaders of Spain. In fact, they conquered Hispania in 711 and they defeated a Gothic king. And he was the king of Spain. His name was King Roderick. And so now Zayed became known as the master of Spain. They continued northward and they led Spain and parts of Europe for almost 750 years. They also grew their Muslim faith. Now, who were they fighting? The Roman Catholics, so Christians, and they were Muslims. So this was also a religious war at that time too. And like I said, they defeated them and they were there for 750 years. They brought Spain a long way though. They had all different kinds of technology and infrastructure. And one interesting point is, I'm an etiquette consultant and so an expert, and I thought it so interesting. There was a guy named Zareb, and Zareb was known as this trendsetter. So he arrived in Spain about 822 AD, and he introduced Spain to drinking from crystal instead of metal because they was getting sick. In fact, the water was so nasty. That's why they always drunk wine because they couldn't drink water. So everybody in the Roman Catholic times they was lit the whole time because they couldn't drink water. Zareb also introduced them to eating from plates instead of putting the food directly on the table as they did back then. And he also introduced dinner courses, beginning with a soup and ending with a dessert. And we still do that today. He's also credited for forming a very early form of toothpaste and a new type of deodorant. He also introduced men shaving and bangs. And we rock bangs even today. So culturally, Black people have always been on the cutting edge of discovery as far as what to use on a day to day basis, but also how to look. And he popularized the look. So, this is what the Moors were doing in 740 and 822 AD. But you don't normally hear about this. This is prior to slavery. Oh, wait till I tell you how we moved into slavery even after rulership like this. Now, as the Moors populated Spain and Europe, and they were even in parts of Asia. So, what led to their downfall? Here they were ruling for almost 800 years. They were sultans, they were kings, they were building edifices and building all kinds of things all throughout Europe and all over Asia. Well, I'll tell you what happened. They began to procreate heavily with European and Spaniards. And because of that, they diluted their power. They diluted the people who were truly um, part of their culture. And so because of that, they began to lose battles, and as enemies and the onslaught came on, there was less people to help fight. And so by 1490, the Moors were being cleared out of Spain and throughout other European countries. In 1609, they made their final move against the Moors, and it was pretty much to break them. It was during the Spanish Inquisition, and reportedly, King Philip III of Spain he signed an order to expel 600,000 Moors to a settlement called Lucera in Africa. It is said about 70,000 of them came back, but all the rest of them stayed there. So many who were from the ruling class were the Africans, they were Moors, and they were the same ones who were caught up in the transatlantic slave trade. Let me know down below if you want to know more about who those royals were, who were actually enslaved during the transatlantic slave trade. Really interesting stuff. Also, the Arabs and the Berbers for sometimes were underneath the Arabs. And so they would tax them, and it was just fighting even with among them. So all of this fighting is really what lessened the strength of the Moors. The race mixing also was a problem as well. And I want to be clear. I don't, you marry who you want to, you do what you want to. I'm just giving you the history of what happened to the Moors and why their influence lessened. Basil Davidson, he was a noted historian. He recognized no lands were admired more by its neighbors or more comfortable to live in than a rich African civilization, which took shape in Africa. So that's what I'm saying. They really brought the area up. They brought Spain up. Their capital, which was called Cordova there in Spain, it had sidewalks. It had 900 public baths. It had street lights. So the black people, the Africans were way more advanced than the Europeans during that time. Even beyond the technology and the public restrooms and all of that they also brought crops like oranges, lemons, peaches, figs. So they were a benefit to the world, but they were thrown out and enslaved in the end because, again, they had been weakened by aligning themselves with people who were not aligned with them. So the rise and fall of the Moors is very interesting. I've only given you a snippet here. As you know, I do our lessons, our lectures here are abbreviated lectures. I try to hit on all the high points for you. But if you want to know more, there's a lot of great information. Now, as you know, my lectures are for entertainment and educational purposes only. My sources were Ivy Cortez's The Moors, Jonathan Randall's Baker's Race, and blackpast.com. I want to thank everyone for joining me. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe. We're getting ready to have another trivia night. Now, if you're not a member, you may not have had an opportunity to participate the first time we did it. So when we do it again, I'm going to do it for everyone so everyone can participate. I didn't want to embarrass myself learning this new technology. I want to again, though, thank you for joining me for another great episode of Royal Black and Elite. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button and leave me your comments down below. If you want to know more about Black history, click on one of my other videos. I have some tons of great videos where you can really learn a lot. We'll see you on our Black Trivia Night. Thanks for watching.